And I've never seen a critic say, I hate Bitcoin. I think that people in the rest of the world should buy, no one says they should buy Apple stock to save their life savings in Africa to avoid having it be stolen by the local government. Nobody says that. So if you don't give a constructive solution to the problem, then you're just reflexively rejecting a new thing.
Are you essentially a corporate heretic? And what I mean by that is in corporate CEO suites, they borrow money and they buy back their own stock, and their executive options go up a lot in value and they cash out. You looked at this situation, you said, oh, the ice cube on my balance sheet's melting, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I'm even going to borrow money to buy Bitcoin. It seems almost like a speculative attack on the central bank itself. Is that a fair characterization? What are your comments?
I think for a decade, conventional Treasury strategy was I buy short-dated Treasuries, and in order to get my stock up, I buy back my equity and leverage up my cash flows. I watched 99 out of 100 of my competitors all go out of business pursuing that strategy. What they do is they either do a dilutive acquisition where they buy another company and they keep bolting on acquisitions until they've got 37 companies and it all falls apart, and then they sell themselves or take themselves private, or they keep buying their stock back and leveraging up. And one way is decapitalizing the company, the other way is diluting the company. What I was doing with Bitcoin was I was saying, I don't want to decapitalize the company. I want to keep the capital or grow the capital, but I want to put an asset on the balance sheet. And I think a big breakthrough is I can convert my cash from a liability to an asset, and then we realize that if that asset's going to go up by more than 10% a year, and you can borrow money at 5% or 4 or 3 or 2, then you should pretty much borrow as much money as you can and flip it into the asset, and why wouldn't you?
Right, but it does kind of call time on this ultra-low interest rate policies by the central banks that seem to be there only to benefit a few select at the top while disenfranchising the many. And if all corporations did what you guys are doing, it would seem to disrupt the central banks, which in fact would then help Bitcoin. Is there a virtuous cycle here? Should central banks take a more politicized stance and do this for that reason as a way to get rid of possibly the greatest threat we have, and that is the central banks? And I'm tacitly having you agree with this thought, quite unfairly, with this question. However, I think you see what I'm driving at. Is there a political angle to this at all? Are you allowed to say that?
I think we can all go forward constructively together. And look, Ray Dalio says he'd rather own Bitcoin than a bond. There's 100 trillion in bonds. That was a big statement that he made just a week ago.
Right.
Corporate treasuries are holding bonds. As people rotate bonds and cash into Bitcoin, price discovery will return to bonds, and that means that you can buy an annuity for a fair price, and that's good for the world. It would be good to be able to buy a bond that had a good annuity stream. I think the price discovery will return to stocks, and you'll be able to buy a stock that pays a decent dividend that's less risky, and that will be good for the world. I think that you'll be able to buy, if we demonetize residential real estate, you'll be able to buy a house at half the price that's twice as good. That'll be good to the world. And so I think that the virtuous cycle is Bitcoin is demonetizing gold. Your jewelry will be twice as good, half as expensive. Is demonetizing real estate. Your house will be twice as big, half as expensive. Is demonetizing debt. You will be able to buy an annuity that yields 8% interest with no risk. Is demonetizing equity in ETFs. You'll be able to invest in a company and not pay 50 times revenue and take a risk. You'll be able to invest reasonably. And so Bitcoin fixes everything. And it fixes... And if you wish me to make a political statement, the political statement would be, it fixes governments because as it fixes everything else, governments act rationally. And right now, you can see governments acting rationally, right? In weak countries, their currency collapses to zero, and they have to adopt a new currency. Right now, they're adopting the dollar. I see a world where 8 billion people have a mobile device, and they have a digital wallet, and they have a digital currency like a dollar or a euro, and then they have a digital asset, Bitcoin. And Bitcoin links together 8 billion people, links together 100 million companies. It synchronizes the world across political jurisdiction, and it returns rationality to the entire financial system, and it returns freedom and property rights to the human race.
All right. Now, you've said on occasions, it's very interesting, you seem to allude to or refer to Bitcoin as something of a new life form. And sometimes you refer to it evolving. You say nothing can compete with Bitcoin as money unless it's a unique, beautiful creature that does something unique. It's like plankton or a lobster. You refer to one of the shitcoins out there, Ethereum, as a shark duck that lives in trees. Right? So you use these life-affirming metaphors quite often, but the idea, the reason I bring this up is because the difficulty adjustment, the way it acts, seems like it's alive in a lot of ways. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think that a crypto is a living creature. We've released life in cyberspace, and Bitcoin you could think of as a plant life or a plankton. It's a base level life. It's not the most complicated creature. It's not. You could think of some of the other DeFis, they want to be animals and run around, and Bitcoin wants to be greenery and cover the entire earth. Once you've released the DNA of the Bitcoin, you just have to let it fester everywhere in the world and let it be it. I think the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's done. There's no reason why it can't become a $100 trillion, $200, $300 trillion creature. And the fundamental difference, I think, with a crypto asset like Bitcoin versus what other people are trying to do in this space is the whole idea of a crypto asset is I put my monetary energy, my life force into it, and then I let it live for the next 1,000 years. And it's okay just to be alive for 1,000 years. It's okay to be, what's wrong with being rich forever, right? I mean, and that's what Bitcoin is.